Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing some book reviews. I have 5 different books here to review, so let's just jump straight into them. The first book I have here is Editing Emma, The Secret Blog of a Nearly Proper Person, and it's by Chloe Seeger, and I was sent this book in exchange for an honest review from Harkland, Australia. This book follows Emma, and Emma has just been ghosted by the love of her life, Leon. He's basically dumped her but not said anything to her, and now he's gone out and got a new girlfriend. After a summer of feeling sorry for herself, Emma decides to take a stand, and she decides to rediscover who she is and get back into dating and kind of take some experiments along the way. And she blogs all about it. This book is funny, and it reminded me of a grown-up version of one of my favourite book series when I was younger, which is Angus Fong's and Perfect Snogging. It's in the same kind of format, and Emma is just like a grown-up version in some ways of Georgia. It definitely has the same British humour, just a little bit more adult. Like, Emma in here talks about masturbating, and that's great. I definitely love how this book didn't shy away from topics like masturbation and sex, because Emma is, I think, about 17, and they're things that she's dealing with the minute, and it doesn't shy away. It talks about them, and I just love it when books do that, and it's just funny. It's funny how she talks, it's funny about her life experiences, and it's real too. Like, if you remember your first love and how intense it was, Emma recaptures that perfectly with Leon, sometimes to the point where it's a little bit too extreme, and it's just really funny, and I really enjoyed this book. If you enjoyed the Angus Fong's and Perfect Snogging series but are looking for something a little bit more older, I would definitely recommend this one, Editing Emma. And this is an author's debut novel, and it's pretty darn fantastic, so I'd highly recommend this one. I'm rating this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I have The Ethan I Was Before by Ali Standish. This book follows a boy named Ethan who is around the age of 12. He's being forced to move to a new town with his family because something happened in the old town where he lived involving his best friend. And he blames himself for what happened to his best friend, and it seems like a lot of other people do too. This book follows Ethan dealing with what has happened and dealing with what his involvement was in the situation and how the people around him treat and act him differently, as well as kind of discovering new friendships and discovering that it's okay to still make friends even though this horrible thing has happened. I quite enjoyed this book. It left a little mystery of what had happened in the incident, and we kind of learnt about it halfway through what had fully happened. I really enjoyed Ethan as a character. My only slight issue was that Ethan was meant to be 12 in this book, however he seemed to be a lot older. His voice didn't sound like a 12-year-old to me. Or if he was a 12-year-old, he was a very intelligent 12-year-old. I don't know, his voice just didn't sound like a 12-year-old to me. Like, I wouldn't really call this a middle grade. Maybe this is what middle grades are reading now. I'm not really too sure. I mean, I guess I would recommend this for a mature 12-year-old, definitely. I might give this to my sister and see what she thinks of it, but I'm still not too sure if it's a little bit too old for her yet, if it's something she would still fully enjoy. I definitely think around the 15 and 16 mark though, I would definitely recommend this book, or if this book does sound interesting to you, I would still recommend it. I did really enjoy the characters, even though I felt they were a little bit older than what they were meant to be. I just did really enjoy them, and I enjoyed getting to know Ethan and discover what had happened and how Ethan is now dealing with all that. I also forgot to mention that I was sent this book in exchange for an honest review from Hatchet Australia, so thank you very much, Hatchet Australia. And in the end, I believe I would probably rate this book around 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5. And then I was sent a book from Allen and Unwin in exchange for an honest review, and it's Close Your Eyes by Nikki Cloak. This book follows a school shooting, as you might be able to tell from the cover. It's kind of eerie, and it follows a group of friends and their recounts of what happened and what led up to happening. I found this book really interesting. I felt like it dealt with the topic of school shooting pretty well. It definitely had some twists and turns along the way of who the actual shooter was, and I did enjoy it. However, I didn't really find that it stood out to me after I finished it. It was a book that I enjoyed reading it while I was reading it, but it wasn't something I'd probably go back and think too much about it. It's been a couple of weeks since I've read this one, and it's not very memorable to me. By all means, if it does sound interesting to you, pick it up. Just for me, it just wasn't quite as memorable as I would have hoped. In the end, I rated this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I was sent a book from Bloomsbury, and it's Letters to the Lost, and this is by Bridget Kemmer. This book follows 2 characters, the first being Juliet. Now, Juliet's mother has just recently died, and the way she copes and still communicates with her mother is she writes letters to her mother and leaves them at her grave. And then we have Declan. Declan is the tough kind of kid that you wouldn't want to cross, but he's very misjudged. He's had some shitty things happen to him, and because of that he kind of let some things get to him, and you know, he isn't on the best path currently, and he's currently doing some community service and trying to figure out shit, and he's still dealing with the ghosts of his past. And then one day, while he's doing the community service, because he actually does it as a graveyard, he comes across one of Juliet's letters and he decides to write back. And this book follows their kind of friendship writing through these letters, not knowing who each other are. I really enjoyed the concept of this book and I liked how it played out. I really enjoyed both characters. There was a twist in the end. I quite enjoyed everything about it except for one major thing. I guess for me, the issue was that the ending was really predictable. I don't want to spoil anything, but I just want to say I don't think every YA contemporary needs to end off like this without spoiling anything. I mean, it's still nice, but it would be nice just for sometimes not to have everything so predictable and so you know exactly what's going to happen, and then when it happens you're like, oh okay, cool, I guess. However, I still did really like the concept of this book and I enjoyed it. It was a very quick and light read, and if you're looking for a cute contemporary, I definitely would recommend picking this one up. In the end, I would rate this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I have to review is actually a little bit different. It's Doing It by Hannah Witten. Now, Hannah Witten is a YouTuber and she talks about sex, and this book is talking about sex too, obviously. This is obviously a non-fiction book and it talks about some of the following topics. Obviously sex, virginity, bodies and body image, sexting, STIs, sexual pleasure, sex shaming. It's got some resources in here as well as consent, porn, masturbation, LGBTQ+, healthy relationships, all that fun stuff. It's told from anecdotes both from Hannah and her friends, as well as useful advice and everything like that. I was sent this book in exchange for a review for Hatchet Australia. I am a big fan of Hannah's YouTube channel. I love sex positive stuff and this book just kind of embodied her YouTube channel in a way. I did probably know about 90 to 100% of everything that was discussed in here, but I still think with sex positive stuff you just need to keep learning. It's something that I wasn't taught very well in school. Sex ed was barely non-existent at my school, and I think it's so important to learn about it. If you're interested in learning more on the topic, which I highly recommend, and you'd like a funny book and a book that's personal and intimate but also hilarious, I'd really recommend this one. If you're also a big fan of Hannah's YouTube channel, I would definitely recommend it because you're going to find this book as just basically an embodiment of her YouTube channel. Or if you haven't discovered Hannah's YouTube channel, I'd highly recommend watching that one too. Right now she's doing a really cool series where The Hormone Diaries, where she's come off the pill and it's her back on the period again and her experiences on that, and I find that really interesting. I myself have been on the pill for 5 years for medical reasons and I don't think I would ever go back to being on my period, but it's really interesting seeing her journey. As I said, I would highly recommend this one and I'd rate this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So let me know in the comments below which book sounds the most interesting to you and which one you might be picking up soon, or if you've read any of them and what you thought of them. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings, and even though I don't reply to every comment, I'm really bad at it. I'm gonna try and get better, but please know I do read every single comment and I appreciate them and I love reading them and hearing your thoughts and discussions on books too. I also have some exciting to use to share, which I've already talked about on my Twitter, but I'll quickly discuss here. I'm actually going to be a digital storyteller at Melbourne's Writers Festival. I'll be doing a more video on about it soon, discussing it and also talking about the program when I can, when that's released. Very exciting times ahead, so look out for the videos on that soon, and also follow my social media accounts if you haven't already so you can stay up to date with all that information. Apart from that, that's all I have to talk about, so like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more book related videos from me, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye!